Next on Worcester News tonight, we now know who was struck and killed by a train in Worcester. Plus, the Southbridge Public School District now in the hands of the state. We'll tell you what it means for students. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tim McCone. Education in the Southbridge School District was in the spotlight last night at a meeting with Education Commissioner Mitchell Chester, where he heard from parents and teachers about issues in the district. Today, the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education voted on whether or not to take over Southbridge schools. The board voted almost unanimously to deem Southbridge a Level 5 school district. This means the district is now placed under receivership of the state. This is active immediately. Parents we spoke with today say leadership instability is their top concern, and they're happy to see something being done.
Really looking for stability for my children. Dealing with a child with disabilities and autism, stability is an important thing, and they really do need stability in the school system.
Obviously, school systems need to have stability. They need to be able to function, and kids need stability. So, yeah, that would be a good thing if they can get that and get the stability and get what the kids need.
Chester expects to announce the plan for the state's takeover at the board meeting in February. In the meantime, he will serve as the interim receiver. According to new data released today by state education officials, most Massachusetts teachers earned good grades under the state's evaluation system last school year. About 86% of teachers earned a proficient rating in their performance reviews for the 2014-15 year, roughly the same as the previous year. About 10% were deemed exemplary, the highest rating, up from 8% a year before. Meanwhile, 4.5% of teachers were found to be in need of improvement or unsatisfactory, a slight decrease. New developments after a man was hit by a train. Worcester police have released the man's identity and say his death is suspicious. 74-year-old Hector Luis Ramos of Worcester was hit shortly after 11 o'clock Sunday night. Ramos was found under the Lincoln Street overpass and was pronounced dead at the scene. In their preliminary investigation, Worcester police say Ramos was lying on the train tracks.
The family has been notified, but again, investigators now are trying to work on the circumstances leading up to that individual being on the tracks. Again, we're not sure what the cause was. He still may have been hit by the train, but we're not really ruling out other possibilities as well.
If you know anything about the incident, you're asked to contact Worcester Police. Well, last night we told you about Massachusetts ending its long-standing practice of sending women with drug or alcohol problems but who have committed no crimes to prison. Governor Charlie Baker signing a bill that gives those women access to addiction treatment services at 2 state hospitals. The bill was written up after the ACLU of Massachusetts suit. The bill was signed as House and Senate negotiators continue working on the final version of wide-ranging bills to address the state's deadly opioid addiction crisis. Today, we caught up with Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito, who says the bill is a step in the right direction.
Instead of being sent to MCI Framingham, a prison, they will be sent to the proper treatment facilities to help them recover. And for too long, now over 3 decades, women in this situation have been sent to prison in Framingham and have not been able to receive the treatment that they need to be well.
A local band delivering a message with their latest song on the dangers of opioid addiction. The band Dodeca releasing the song Ecstasy at the End of Days. The music video has only been on YouTube for 4 days and already has nearly 1,000 views. Opioid addiction hits home for the band. Lead singer Anna Hill lost her brother to a heroin overdose in October of 2014. She says opioid abuse is an issue that everyone needs to be aware of and needs to be discussed.
It speaks to the issue and the fact that we all need to be more vocal. We need to not bury these issues. We need to put them out into the open so that we can get people the help that they need before it's too late. And that's really the purpose behind this song.
We'll have more on this story tomorrow. Worcester firefighters respond to a small fire Tuesday morning on Dewey Street. It took place a little after 10 o'clock this morning at Serrato Signs. Firefighters found fire on the roof. There was minor damage, but there were no injuries. The cause is not yet known. Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito, Treasurer Deb Goldberg, and Secretary Matt Beaton announced a new funding source for clean water efforts in Massachusetts. Our Brittany Schaefer has the details.
Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito announced Tuesday communities across the Commonwealth are now eligible to receive $538 million to improve water quality.
And this is a very important announcement because it not only impacts the environment and clean water, it also impacts the economy.
Today is a very exciting day for the entire Commonwealth because this is a substantial amount of money, $538 million going to largely to a lot of our communities.
91 projects in 63 Commonwealth communities will be eligible to receive the fund. Polito says the $500 million will be coming from a state revolving fund.
So here in Massachusetts, we've been working on this since 1989, and about 97% of the state has been able to access both loans and grants that have helped support and rebuild their water infrastructure, and we're going to keep on going.
Karen Polito says these funds will help with waste and groundwater treatment. She says the underground infrastructure are often overlooked.
It's important because sometimes these are pipes that are underground that people don't see, but they need to be maintained, they need to be repaired because we need clean water, and it's a great environmental program throughout our Commonwealth.
With this funding, communities like Worcester, who have paid millions to clean up the Blackstone River, could now get some financial help.
Continuing to clean up areas like the Blackstone River.
Energy and Environmental Affairs Secretary Matthew Beaton says taking action now will save a valuable resource.
Water is probably going to be the most critical resource for our Earth in the coming generations. And for us to start making investments now to minimize the amount of water we do, to protect our resources, is going to pay off in the long run for future generations.
Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester takes another step to help those in the city who speak more than one language. Our Andy Madison takes a look at a new partnership that will provide translators to those who use the city services.
Jorge Santiago speaks both Spanish and English, which comes in handy when his mom needs help from the city.
She understands, but she doesn't write it or speak. If she needs help, obviously anything I help her with.
Your mom mostly speaks
Spanish. Only Spanish.
According to city officials, 90 different languages are spoken in city schools. For many who live in Worcester, English is not their first language. And the city is taking another step toward being more inclusive by having language interpreters available at City Hall.
Nobody wants to live next to a building or in a three-family home where one person isn't complying with code rules or other rules because they can't speak the language. And so all we want to do is make sure we can serve everybody.
Whether visiting the city clerk, getting a marriage license or a birth certificate, translators for 90 different languages are just a phone call away thanks to a Centria Care Alliance.
It is good business practice to serve more people and to serve existing populations better.
We've been working very diligently to make sure the city workforce looks like the community, and as we have successes in that area, we're also diversifying the language capacity of our city workforce.
And it's a move that can help people like Santiago, so that he doesn't always have to be present when his mom goes to City Hall.
Easily. I help everybody a lot, especially the community. It would be basically on hand. I see those a lot now in the hospitals.
Andy Madison, Worcester News Tonight.
A Westboro teen is preparing to drive a sports car in a big race this weekend. He's making a step up at a young age, but racing is nothing new to his family. Our Patricia Nicholas caught up with him today and has his story.
On the weekdays, 17-year-old Kaz Gralla is a junior studying at Worcester Academy. But on most weekends, he can be found racing cars.
Last year I missed, I believe it was about 40% of the school days. So it makes it tough. It's a different way of approaching school because I always have to be ahead on my work.
Gralla says he became interested in racing cars at the age of 4. His father used to race sports cars. Gralla says he helped instill the love of racing in him.
As soon as I decided I wanted to go-kart over Little League, I pretty quickly put my focus on that, and I've been doing it ever since.
Saturday, Gralla will be participating in his first sports car race. He will be one of 4 driving the Monster Energy Lamborghini at the Daytona International Speedway for the Rolex 24. a race he says will be special for him.
This race, however, is what my dad started in. He's done this race 3 times. This is his background, so it's just extra special to me to be able to be in it for my first time in the race that he really, really loves.
Gralla has trained for the race. He will head to Florida Wednesday to get familiar with the vehicle. He says once he puts that helmet on and starts driving, he has no worries.
I'm not worried about crashing. I'm not worried about getting hurt, because I think if you're in a sport like that, you can't really concern yourself with that. That's the sport you've chosen to do, so that's just what you have to accept.
Patricia Nicholas, Worcester.